Olá, eu sou a Solange Mel. Sejam bem-vindos ao podcast Dança em Diálogos, um espaço dedicado ao diálogo entre a criação artística e a performance, onde a dança e a coreografia encontram novas formas de comunicar. Estejam preparados para explorar novas perspectivas sobre a dança, descobrir intérpretes, criadores, corpos, ideias em movimento. E diálogos, claro. Neste episódio do Dança em Diálogos, conversámos com Aurélia Bellet, bailarina que integrou durante mais de 2 décadas a conceituada Ópera de Paris. Falámos sobre as memórias do palco, encontros marcantes, transições e a beleza e elegância da dança. Falámos ainda do presente, de como é viver em Portugal, da sua dedicação às novas gerações de intérpretes e da sua faceta de empreendedora. Aurélia, welcome. It's truly an honor to have you here. Thank you so much for being part of our podcast, Dança em Diálogos. And let's start.
Yes.
Aurélia, you spent over 2 decades at the heart of one of the most iconic ballet institutions, the Paris Opera, where you've danced through the great classical masterpieces and immersed yourself in the language of contemporary giants like Pina Bausch, Matzek, Forsyth, Killian, and so many others. In 2014, you embraced a new perspective on dance, stepping off stage to work alongside José Martínez as his principal assistant at the Compañía Nacional de Danza in Madrid, a pivotal moment of transition from interpreter to mentor. And now, you've chosen Portugal as your home, a place where you continue to share everything that dance has given you, with generosity and intention. Today, I'd love to revisit your journey with you, not just the stages you've danced on, but the choices, emotions, and transformations behind them. Thank you so much for being here. Let's start.
Yes, let's go.
So, how did dance first came to your life? Just tell us a little bit about how everything started.
Very naturally, just my mom, she put me for a dance lesson once a week. And it was in a public school near Paris. I was not living in Paris. And so it's just the director. She was ex-solist of the Paris Opera. And she saw my potential. And she spoke to my mom and she said, you should think I see a little girl like this every 10 years. So maybe there's something to do with her. And why not Paris Opera?
And how old were you when you started?
I was 10.
You were 10?
Late, quite late.
Okay.
So I never saw ballet, and just my mom, she bought some books and she showed me Paris Opera, the process of a ballerina, and I say, of course, at 10 years old, I want to be a dancer. I don't want to sit in front of the desk with a computer, and yes, I want to try, let's see.
And so from then, your academy, when did you go to the Paris Opera School?
So it was quite long and difficult. So these 3 years to get in the school, yeah. Paris Opera School, it takes me 3 years. 3 years of hard work, of sacrifices, of competition. So the first year I tried the audition to enter at the Paris Opera, and I was too small because they are very strict.
Yeah, with measures, with heights,
exactly,
with everything.
Exactly.
Yes.
Then the second year I was almost at the limit of the minimum
requirements.
Yes. And the second day, after they look at all your body, the second day you do a class. And the class was on stage. No mirror, and just in the dark, and I couldn't copy to the
of course, no mirror.
So, yeah. And I was totally lost. To memorize all the exercise, I was not the
nervous also, of course.
Yeah, but not at all the level that they want. And then I entered to the conservatory. So at 12 and 13 years old, and you train much more. It's about 3 hours in the afternoon of dance, only classic, and school in the morning. And so then I did some competition around everywhere, every city is in France. And I've met a teacher from the school of Paris Opera, and she trained me every Saturday private classes to also learn this solo and do the competition. So then the level
really went up.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the third year, it was the last year that I could enter in that school. The last chance. And it works.
Yay!
And then I just remember when they said, it's not because you're the 12 better to enter. It's because you're just the worst. Not the worst, I don't know. But yeah, I was like, okay.
Okay, so this was a big change then.
Little introduction, and then you have 1 year of trial. Then you do again a competition. School? Yes.
Okay.
And then you have again a competition, an audition.
Audition to go to the
adagio, solo, 2, 3, 4, no, 2 solo, and then you enter and you can be a student of the school.
Officially a student.
Yes. So it's a very long process.
Yes, I see. But then everything went great because you had the chance to become also a professional dancer in the Paris Opera.
Yes.
How was this for you? You know, there's probably 1 million students and only a few enter the company. Yeah. So how this was I imagine it was your dream, right? You were in the school and you wanted to go to the company.
Yes. Only I was focused only on Paris Opera. I didn't know what else if I failed where.
There was no plan B.
Yes, no plan B. So. It happened. We were only 3 girls and to enter that year, and
yes, that's a perfect moment. So at this point the life is going as you expected, right? And you're in the Paris Opera, and you have this beautiful, incredible building, this wonderful company.
It's magical. And then you sign your contract with the contract is you dance until you're 42. So from the beginning, I was 17 years old, and I knew that at 42 it will be the end of my contract. So
I think that's great also.
Yes.
It just gives
to have a long road
gives
like
you,
this, and
it gives you the perspective you're going to start, and
totally.
eventually...
And the security also, because dancers is not an easy job.
Yes. Do you remember your first performance?
In Paris Opera as a professional?
Yes.
No. I think I was covering in Swan Lake.
Okay.
Because when you enter in the company, you only covers.
You can only cover.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no.
So there's
no
like so many rules.
There's
so many rules that I can see already from school, like all these auditions, all these measurements, all this
and then
process of staying, then all the process of entering. Also, there's so many.
Yeah.
So when does this starts to be a little bit? You feel like you have your place. When did this happen? You know.
When after 2 years, when I did again, because every year you have the possibility, and it was before like more mandatory, not really, but if you don't do this audition, this competition every year, you can see on the casting that
something is not going as you
exactly. And so after the second year, I became coryphée, and then I started to dance a little bit more than corps de ballet, but I had my space.
You felt like it was your space.
Yes.
And in the meantime, and you also worked besides all the great classical masterpieces.
Yes.
Beautiful Paris Opera. Yes. All the Nuria versions, I can imagine.
Yes.
You also worked with the legendary choreographers. And as you already mentioned to me, there's some that have a very special place in your heart.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about this. Also, because Paris Opera is very special. You can have the best of every world, so you can choose a little bit what gives you more pleasure. Tell me a little bit about this, working with the choreographers, all these people that...
I just realized then after when I go out of Paris Opera that it was a privilege at Paris Opera to have the choreographers at the
they're creating
during the rehearsals,
yeah.
and because I thought
that everybody was like this. Yes.
No. That's in production. The choreographer,
yeah.
even he comes 1 day or 2 days, but
yes, but he's there. Yes.
Yes. So I had the privilege to work many weeks and sometimes months with many of the choreographers, Matsek, Forsyth, Kilian, Pina Bausch.
It was Christmas all the time there.
Yes,
it was always something.
Yes. But it's audition all the time. You want to, so it's a lot of pressure also.
No,
because
of course.
They're very exigent and they have no patience.
Yeah.
So
because they're in the best place of the world, so they expect everything like this.
And there's many dancers.
Yes,
so
I was going to ask you that.
If you're not good at a moment,
someone else.
Yeah.
And how was this atmosphere? Like, do you feel it was very competitive, even among all the dancers?
It was very competitive. With all the dancers, corps de ballet, but even with the principal dancer, there was a lot of competition between each other.
And this for every piece? More
every
classical,
piece,
less
all
classical.
Year, it's like
so it's very intense. Everything is very intense.
Yes, it is.
And also the audiences, right? Because audiences expect the best. So did you also feel this pressure on stage?
No.
Okay, that's wonderful.
The audience, they're more here also to enjoy, to discover ballets, new
pieces.
Pieces. But they're not. For me, I was not
you
scared
didn't feel
about
this.
the audience.
Okay, so
yes, when the master ballet was on backstage or the director with the audience, this was the moment.
And you also had different directors there, right?
Yes.
Do you feel that because for us on the outside, like Paris Opera is always Paris Opera. So from the inside, this view of different directors, did that make like a difference also in the atmosphere or not? Paris Opera is so unique that it doesn't matter who's in charge.
We keep these rules usually even, but it changed also with. It's going to be very hard now in English, like to say. We live in a moment that everything is changing. So even if it's a new director, things gonna change.
Regardless,
whatever. Yes. So, but there was some codification for covers, who's gonna cover, and
say it in French.
L'ancienneté.
The older ones.
The older ones, and then who did the competition. Everything was very codified.
Yeah, okay, so what you're saying is that everything already has their way of being. So even, the directors obviously are directors, but everything is so because written almost.
When we changed directors, all the team was always mostly the same.
The same, okay.
So this routine
never really changed.
No.
Okay. I'm gonna make this question. I know that you have particularly it's hard to say, but I want to ask what was your dream role, or if there was one very special role or a very special ballet that you danced.
Maybe like almost a lot of dancers to dance Bolero de Maurice
Oh,
Béjart.
really?
Yeah, I think to be on
Yes,
this
very
red
special.
table,
Yes.
there's so much sensuality
Yes.
and the music and the men
And
around.
the men around.
I think that could be, for many dancers. I know from Paris Opera.
It was
like
that special
it's a
moment.
special piece.
Yeah, I can understand.
Yes.
And what about this hard job of keeping all your technique in place, but also be an artist, because sometimes dancers struggle so much with this. Yes. Sometimes we focus too much on technique, and sometimes you're just a natural artist, and maybe technique gets a little bit forgotten. Yeah. So was this something that you thought while you were there, or everything makes you to be complete because of the place you were?
I would say technique was fundamental, and obsessed with the technique of the feet and all
the
this
footwork.
work.
Yeah.
Yes. So this was something that we were more obsessed about that than, unfortunately, the art.
The artistry. Okay.
Yes, and then when you have this, we look at you, and then because also you have a little bit something, and then you work on it.
Okay.
Yes.
So, but do you feel that this is something like this artistry, you could maybe work more on the contemporary pieces, because you were a bit less focused on this, as you say, obsession that you...
Yes. It's true. As dancers, as many dancers, because in Paris Opera we dance classic and also contemporary a lot, but you can express more. You can have much more emotion, I think, when you're dancing a contemporary piece. Classic is so much pressure, because the audience, even if they don't know ballet,
they can see that
something
something wrong.
Yes.
Yeah, but for instance, even when you're in the corps of ballet, to do the corps de ballet of Giselle is not the same as doing corps de ballet in Swan Lake, for instance. So there is this possibility of feeling something, and Giselle is
definitely there's something. There's a spirit in this ballet, and I would say Swan Lake as corps de ballet, it's more a marathon. It's more like a big mountain you need to climb every night, because
it's hard.
It's hard. It's super hard. And not when you're dancing, when you're not moving.
Yeah, when you're not moving, exactly. That's the big challenge. Yeah. But also Bayader, for instance, this
exactly
this rampage that girls.
And with Nureyev version, we don't
Which
change
is a
the leg.
Arabesque
is always on the same leg. Yes.
But was this still a good memory? Is this still a good memory to do this?
Yes.
To do these iconic pieces.
Yes, really. Especially in Paris Opera, because
with this big stage,
everything big stage, and
the rake,
the costume, the lights, the decor was amazing, really sumptuous.
Yes, it's glamorous.
Yes.
And is it more special to dance in the Palais Garnier than in the Opéra Bastille? Is it? Do you feel like?
Definitely, we prefer Opéra Garnier.
You do, yeah,
because you feel the history.
Yeah,
and Bastille. It's just the stage is very large, very big.
And flat? Is it flat?
And flat.
I haven't been.
So the stage is quite comfortable, but you don't have this
magic.
No.
Yeah, it is a very special building. Yes. So let's talk about when you moved to Paris, because you were still dancing at the time, right?
Yes.
So you accepted the invitation of José to move there. How was this decision also?
Yes.
And what can you tell me of this experience of all of a sudden to be more on the other side?
Yes. It's funny because so I wanted to stop competition, the audition, because every year since I'm 13 years old,
you're doing this every year.
Every year. And just before my 35, after the competition, I knew that I always had this place 2 or 3, the second or the third one, and it's only one.
Sorry to stop you, but the competition, you mean
to go in the...
Oh, to go up the rake, you have to do like an audition kind of thing. Okay. Everybody has to do it. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
You have one solo.
And every year you have to do this.
Yes, if you don't.
This is what you were telling me. If you don't do
casting,
okay, it's like you don't have to do it, but you have to do it.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So I got it.
And so
after all these years doing this,
for me, I was sure it was my year. I've done so many main roles, and so before this competition, I was like, okay, so now this is my year. Finally, I didn't get it, and I said to my husband right after I knew the results, I said, okay, so now this is the year I want to be a mom. I want to have a child. And then José Martinez called me and he said, Aurélia, I would like you to come to the company. I want to introduce more classic, and can you come as a principal dancer to dance some pieces?
Oh, so you started as a dancer there?
No, only dancer.
Or only dancer?
Yes.
Okay.
So he offered me a principal dancer contract. And yes, it was amazing. I danced Forsyth in the middle again, main role, Raimonda, his creation also, the Lip Suite, Allegro Brilliant. So I had a lot of opportunity, more than Paris Opera. And then I felt it was, for me, the moment to more think about the future and to build a family than to think again about my career.
Okay.
Times is running.
Yeah.
And after 35, I was just scared to maybe couldn't have a baby. Maybe you don't know, when you never try, you don't know if you have a normal hormones.
Of course.
All these things. And so after this season with José, for me it was, and I became pregnant. I was pregnant. Yes. So it was a moment to move back in Paris.
Okay.
And to have this, yes.
So you were just 1 year in with José there, and then you decided to go back to Paris.
Yes.
Okay.
Pregnant.
Okay. Of your first child.
Yes.
Okay. So, and this was a big change for you, as in after when because you had your first child.
Yes.
Well, you still had the second child.
You have your first child, and then
going back to dancing.
So after 10 years with the same director, Brigitte Lefebvre, Benjamin Millepied became the next director. And I was lucky because I've danced some project outside with him. And so he knew me. But all the dancers, when I came back in Paris, before going back on after
your pregnancy?
Yes. Everybody told me, no, Aurélia, it's finished now. Benjamin Millepied, he wants a new generation. And so
really?
35, you're too old,
yes.
it's done. I was like, oh, come on. I wanted to go back on stage.
Yes.
Immediately after my baby, I was like, tsunami,
yes.
So I need to go back to work. I'm scared. So it was not easy for me to be a mom. And at the beginning,
for any of us.
I think my husband was more comfortable than me.
Yeah, but he didn't have to go back dancing.
Finally, Benjamin Millepied gave me a lot of opportunity, and I danced like
a lot.
Yes, a lot. Main role, and also with Kilian, with Forsyth, a lot still, and creation with Benjamin. Yes, it was. Then many years, very, very.
And then you decided to have your second child.
I decided to have my second child. I was 39. I was dancing. I was trying to learn with Ohad Narin the famous piece minus 16. And I saw the colleagues, my friends going and falling down and had this convulsion. I was like, my back, I feel a little bit old for dancing this piece. And so I was not happy. It was sad for me that moment to realize that, I feel a little bit old. And then, I say, okay, I'm ready to have a second one also.
Yes.
And I had another girl, and it was during the COVID. So I missed nothing during all my pregnancy.
Yes, so in a way it was a perfect timing.
It was a perfect timing, and then I came back 40 years old after 4 months, going back, rehearsing Préjocage piece, and dancing, yes.
So did you, at this point, did you have already a plan what you were going to do after leaving Paris Opera? Did you know what you were going to do?
After you mean the end of the career?
Yes.
Yeah. So
was this already in your mind?
This is a process that you already start 4 years before you're leaving, because everybody around you saying, "Oh, what are you gonna do?" So it's soon the end. So
yes.
I had a lot of friends outside Paris Opera,
which
not
is great.
dancers. Yes, and. For me, it was quite difficult to answer during 4 years. I don't know yet. I'm just so I follow. How do you say a therapist?
A therapist.
But she was more a coach for
life. Okay,
to
that's
help
nice.
you to action. And so that support me and helped me also to be confident and. To be confident because I didn't know what I wanted, and it was not an evidence to teach.
Yeah, which are great, by the way. That's, yes.
But I wanted to have to grab this opportunity because after 40. You're in a strong.
Yes, you're in a good place in life. You can do something else.
And because you have plenty of possibility now also to be trained to do something else, that I wanted to try and to do something else. So,
do you agree with me that this stage, when you leave, or when you don't know what you're going to do after, it's a moment, it's a difficult time.
Yes.
Even though, like in your case, you already knew it was going to happen at 42, but still you feel like this.
Yes.
There's this stage. So I always talk about this with other dancers that already stopped. Like there should be a preparation, and I think it's great what you said about having this coach, and I think all of us should have this. Because it's a difficult time, and we well, in my case, since I was 4, I was dancing, so it's most of your life you're dancing.
Yes.
So you really need that support, and I think it would be important that all of us could have this support, because at 40, as you say, we're still young. We can still do so many things, but we're still like overwhelmed with the. So then you had this. So you kind of realized you wanted to do something else outside.
But I was
dancing or teaching to start.
Yeah, I was full of hope.
As you always are, because you're a lovely person. You are.
I was full of hope that to imagine life can give me an opportunity, probably something else, not in dance, but in something else. And but for sure, usually the dancer before the retirement, so before they're 42, at 40 or 41, they already ask and they have this possibility to have training about anything you want. So you want to do architecture, you can have a full year paid by the Paris Opera, and to study, to go back to school, to have any training you want. This is great. They try to do this
to support. Yeah,
they try to yes. And me, I didn't know that I was expecting at 41 to already oriented myself to do something else, and I was thinking about architecture, interior designer. So I already called some school with this therapist. So action, call. I want to see what's the hours, what's the skills, and also why not working in kitchen? Crazy, huh?
No.
And I don't remember. There was a third project I had in my mind, and I wanted but it's crazy. Theater.
Okay.
But only in La Comédie Française. It's like the Paris Opera.
Very specific, yes.
Classical things. But And finally, this 41, you know, when you're a woman and you have 40, even if you're not a dancer, it's challenging.
Yes.
40 years old, it's quite...
Yes, it hits you.
Things happen in your head.
Yes.
And you want to challenge yourself. You want to push yourself out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
You want to... You feel more strong to try new experience. And finally, I just realized that this beauty of Paris Opera and this job, when you know you're gonna leave, you just have new eyes, and you see what you're gonna quit, and you're like, okay, you see everything. What I was looking, everything was beauty.
Your perspective was completely different.
So yes, it was hard for my body. It was hard, but I looked to also the other dancers. For me, I had these sparkles in my eyes, and I was like, wow, this job is amazing. It is. We're so lucky to touch this beauty every day. The beauty in the music, the beauty in the costume, the beauty of emotion that we try to give or we receive from the other dancers. And yes, I wanted to continue until the end. So I wanted to dance again the last year until my 42.
And you finished with Giselle, am I right?
Yes, I finished with Giselle.
Was this your last performance?
Giselle, it's like, yes, it was
circle, yeah.
Yes, the circle, one of my first ballet when I entered in a company, and yes, because the spirit also, it's, I think it's one of the magical thing what happen when you're in the audience and you see a ballet in Giselle in this second act. This is, yes, I think it's beautiful because it's something that also we miss in our world right now, is this elegance, this fragile thing,
but it's really a lot about
femininity also.
And it's really about, in Giselle, I see, of course she does become a ghost, and that is not real, but it's also a piece about a woman. It's not a princess, it's not a swan, it's not, it's a woman, it's a fragile woman that is deceived. And she goes through this process of, recognizing how she was deceived, and this is so strong because she was naive and believed, so I think this is very pure in a way, this first act. And then in the second act, she's generous, she's still very generous, even though she knows that what happened to her.
Exactly.
And she's protecting someone she loved. So I think the whole story is very special. And also to dance it, it's very special.
It is. And also, really, I think in this new world, the elegance and the femininity is something that is really rare now. When I see now who are the
icons,
I don't recognize. I'm a little bit sad about we lost this elegance
of being, really, because we can have strong opinions but still be elegant with them, and sometimes we lose a little bit that, right, in how we treat each other, how we put things out there in the world. And it's also for me a very special ballet. So how, after all this, you ended up in Portugal? This we all want to know.
So the family of my husband lived in Cascais.
Already lived here?
Yes, already 10 years now.
Okay.
So every summer
you would come here.
I would come with my children and spending some time. And then friends also came here, and so it was family plus friends. So let's join and let's jump. Let's try.
So you had other friends that moved from Paris to Portugal.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Exactly.
So you had your husband's family here. You had your friends, and
it is the best friend of my husband, but he's like part of the family.
Okay.
And it was.
And your parents also moved here?
Yes,
after or with you?
Before she wanted, and then she arrived after.
Okay, so it was like a full package all here. Your closest family is now also here. And you arrived here, and you had all these ideas that you didn't made it happen in Paris, and you're like, okay, so I'm going to make it happen in Portugal.
Yes, exactly. Portugal. So why? In Paris, it's very great. It's very intense. It's quite sad. We had 4 last year, 5 very difficult, very hard with protests, some heavy subject. And I wanted, so I was imagining like, okay, 42, I can leave, I want sun, I want to be more calm.
Peace and quiet.
Exactly. So this was the image I have in Portugal. Safety also. And to be more close to the nature. To still stay in a city.
But to be closer to nature.
Yes. And
which is possible.
Yes, and this is what we miss a lot in Paris. We don't have the sea, we don't have so much trees. Forests are more...
you have to go far to...
Yes, and so this, I really fall in love with these little parks in the city, and that you can sit and just have a glass of pedrache.
Everybody talks about this water. We just had some American friends also here, which you were with us, and they're just by Água das Pedras all the time. So great. But you started your own business.
Yes.
Okay, so tell us about that.
It was unexpected, but also Lisbon, I think it's a city of opportunity because there's business missing and that we can develop
new things.
Yes. And so I've met a French also girl, and here I didn't know her before, and she wanted to open this Pilates. She was really passionate about Pilates reformer.
Yes.
She developed also in Paris, and she wanted to open her own studio in Lisbon. And then we met, and then it was like, okay, let's do together.
Let's do it.
I want to do also a studio of some stretching, some Pilates. Could be a little bit of dance because the space was quite small. But I was like, let's see what's gonna happen. But me, it was really like I catch a train and the train was continuing.
Let's go. Yes.
Yeah, I didn't anticipate to go so fast, to open so fast a space.
And to develop so fast also.
Yes. But it was a great opportunity to learn in action. So you learn so fast, and I had to learn so much.
And did you love it? Because now you don't have this business anymore.
You have
another business.
I wanted to be entrepreneur.
You did, yes.
Because my father, my brother, my husband are entrepreneur, and I wanted also to challenge myself and to do my own business. My father was my mentor. He was my confidant, and I told him, he was like, hey, be careful. And I say, Dad, I entered in Paris Opera. I had a nice career, so now maybe I can fail. So I invest. Maybe I will lose everything, but it's okay. I want to try. I want to go.
And you did it, and you didn't lose anything.
And it's also, to come back, it was very important to still move after when you finish a career. Finish dancing. And then depression. Yeah. Really. Even if you prepared, even if you think it's
There's
hard.
This big
it's hard
hit.
to stop.
Yeah.
It is. And especially, I think, for a woman after 40, and when you want to challenge yourself, and you're like, okay, I need to fight, I want to stay young, I want to be someone else. This is the difficulty, is that you have to create another you.
Yeah, and it's because also in our case, like people, it's like telling you that you're old when you're still young, it's like you're telling you're too old, but what do you mean I'm too old? I'm 40. Yeah. But in dance, it's how it is,
yes, it is.
So you struggle with that moment where you still feel young, but everyone else is telling you that you're old.
Yes.
Of course, you're not old for I say normal people, but for us, you just get this.
But for me, 42, it was enough. I could continue contemporary pieces, but not all. Yeah. But to keep the level, to keep the level of this amazing theater, the Paris Opera.
You felt like there was.
You have to be honest.
Yeah.
You cannot go so fast.
No, you can do many things,
you
but
cannot
not that.
Yes. Okay, you have the artistry.
Yeah.
You have experience, but
Yeah, but this would be in another place to develop, right? Like a different project for
yes.
another kind of
Yes.
proposition, another kind of choreographer.
Yeah.
And now you don't dance anymore, but you're more connected to dance.
But you know, after my last show, I didn't know if the phone's gonna ring.
Yeah, of course.
To have a project and to dance a solo.
But would you join?
Solo.
Would you join? Would you do that? Would you be back on stage?
Now, after 2 years and a half,
If it would be something very special.
Maybe, but I don't know. I don't really believe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know, maybe something more very artistic, less
Yes,
moving, like
yes.
something that would be...
But I'm sure there's plenty of dancers who
No,
needs their chance.
No,
to
I
do
always
it,
just
to
say,
dance and have
like,
their
you know,
moments.
I feel like a dancer never really closes that door.
I know,
you know?
it's like Pina Bausch. She
Yeah.
created this company and there is no age, no limits.
Yes.
But it's very specific
Of
because
course.
it's more also theaters and
Yes.
you express you're telling a story. But yeah. But
Well, we'll see what the future brings you.
There was no opportunity to dance. The phone didn't ring. And there was this new business that I've learned so much. And then the dance called me.
Yes,
But
that's
for
what I was going to
teaching.
say. But the dance called you,
Yeah.
and Dança em Diálogos is so blessed also to have you with us. And also you are teaching at Vitor Corden, Studios Vitor Corden.
Yes.
And now you're also teaching in the National
company.
Ballet, yes. And you're also teaching privately, I imagine. So as we started our conversation, you said, I don't see myself teaching.
Yes.
And now I guess you
Yes.
are teaching.
Yes.
So how do you feel about this? Is this something you enjoy now? Because it's also one side of what you're doing and not the whole thing.
Yes. For me, after 30 years of being a dancer, I wanted, with this new opportunity to try something else, is to experiment many things. And so, for me, teaching, it's also experimenting. And it's experimenting children, adults who never dance, amateur, professional dancers, little company. So also this,
a little bit of everything.
I'm experimenting and I'm looking also, I'm searching, where am I good? Where can I really be helpful and transmit? So yes.
But you know, I see you as like this big giant pool of knowledge. You know, you know so much, and I also had the chance to see you helping the dancers. And what I see is that you really try to connect with that. What you're doing at the time, you know, if you're teaching, you're connecting to that class. If you're just giving some rehearsal, or even if it's something very performatic, or you're just really finding the artistry on that. And I think that's very special of you. You know, you're not just giving away, you're really giving what you see and the attention to that detail.
It's natural. It's really, it's like this.
Yeah, you're a very generous person. Thank you so much. So I also want to make you this big question, which is coming from Paris, and all of a sudden you're in Portugal, and obviously in a very different context. How do you see the dance scene in Portugal? Because I know you've been seeing like some things, So tell me a little bit about it. It doesn't have to be very just.
So I'm still discovering the dancers in Portugal. What I can see is they have a very good level of contemporary. They move very well. Sometimes there is a limit with this gymnastic and dance.
Yes,
this
the
is
approach.
Something that
very acrobatic. Some things. Yes.
And to remember that dance is an art, and it's to give emotion, and it's not like
just
I
about
think
the
with
tricks.
social media, it affects the new generation about the performance, technical performance, pirouette, big jump,
roll over.
Yes. And because by a screen you cannot learn, you cannot understand what is giving an emotion, what is giving something, that what are you saying in just one step. So this is something I can see. I think it's generally also, it's not in Portugal, it's everywhere.
I think also I agree with you, and I think also this has to do a lot with competitions as well.
Yes,
because there's more and more competitions, and there's a sense that in the competition only the tricks matter, which is not true. I've been a judge of competitions and I look at so many other things. So maybe also we should start to talk a little bit more about this and say that we just don't look at tricks in competitions, we look at other things. And it's true, it is. I also agree that there is a lot of investment also in the contemporary and scene. Yes.
I love the way how they move, and just classic is fragile everywhere. Not in Portugal, but
everywhere.
I mean this art is fragile because it's tough, very exigent, and the commitment of during years and years, and because the new generation are changing, and because things, what is very difficult, they forgive, so unfortunately, and there's not so much opportunity, not so much job in classic.
Yes, and in Portugal
particularly.
But a
good dancer, it's not only a good dancer, I believe classic
is the base.
Oh,
yes, me too. Well, I have this conversation with a lot of people. Some people disagree, but I
it's
think...
It's not like 100% yes.
No, I think even if you're a great contemporary dancer, I think the classical base is very important for a million things.
Yes.
Coordination, rhythm, sense of discipline, and all that, and movement also. I teach some contemporary dancers or students that want to be contemporary dancers, and I always say, to go from the right leg to the left leg, we're doing the same thing. If you're turned in or if you're turned out, the way you move your body and how you have the conscience of your weight. And how you move in space is the same.
Shoulders,
everything is the same. So if you see it in that way, if you see it as movement and technique, coordination of movement, everything will change, and you won't have this division so strong. So I'm holding on to that. And also, I think audiences still are very looking forward to see the classical dance. So as long as that exists, I think it will be alive. So final moments of our interview. One piece of advice for young dancers or for young professionals.
What do you mean about advice?
Something that you can say to the students that will help them in their careers, like one thing that they should definitely do, or you think that they should do, or that you see.
To believe in work, in hard work. Because during I was an actor, to see some dancers like, they're weak, and then they work, and they're like this. Because spending hours in studio and hard work smartly, of course,
pays off.
You can become someone.
Pays
off. You can
off.
realize your dream.
Yes, I agree. So thank you very much. I'm so happy that we had this conversation. I say to everybody to go and see your new business. Look online because Aurélia is there, and also to see your beautiful videos on YouTube because you also have some. I've looked. And to keep also following your work here. Once again, thank you.
It's a pleasure. I'm very happy to be here in Portugal. I feel good.
At home.
Yes,
great. Thank you, Aurélia.
Thank you so much.
See you soon. O episódio de hoje do Dança em Diálogos chega ao fim, trazendo mais uma perspectiva, mais um percurso, mais uma reflexão sobre a dança. Já sabem, estão todos convidados a seguir o podcast Dança em Diálogos nas nossas redes sociais, a partilhar os episódios e a deixar a vossa opinião ou sugestões para temas futuros. Para estar sempre informado sobre os novos episódios e atividades, podem subscrever o nosso canal no YouTube e no Spotify. Além disso, está disponível a nossa newsletter em dediálogos.com, onde podem conhecer melhor a Dança em Diálogos e todos os seus projetos e dimensões. A Dança em Diálogos é uma plataforma de criação, produção e programação em dança, com um enfoque particular em projetos de mediação e participação de e com diferentes públicos e comunidades. No próximo episódio, vamos continuar, claro, com mais dança e mais diálogos. Eu sou a Solange Mel e espero voltar a estar convosco em breve.